Dar al-Islam, the biggest Muslim village in America. You think you're in North Africa, but this is right here in the US. At its peak, it had 8,600 acres of land, mountains, a masjid, a school, a village built from mud, earth, and vision in the heart of the American Southwest, located in Abiquiu, New Mexico. Mostly Muslim Americans are unaware of its existence, yet alone have visited it. Built with the hands of Native Americans, Pueblo Indians, Nubian Egyptians, and white European revert Muslims, the founders wanted to create a unique place where Muslims in the West could raise their children, learn their deen, and live simply without needing to go overseas. It wasn't meant to be a tourist site or just a masjid. It was supposed to be a full Islamic village with homes, madrasa, garden, and even goats. And for years, it worked. Families lived here. Scholars visited from all over the world. But slowly, families moved out. Funding dried up. The dream of a full Islamic village in America slowly began to vanish. And to find out what happened, I traveled 6 hours from Denver, Colorado to document this historic American landmark. I joined the Mila retreat and was surprised by what I saw Muslims doing there. For the next 72 hours, I experienced Islam in America like I'd never experienced before, like giving adhan in the mountains.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
But I had so many questions. Like, who were the people behind this village? What it's like to live in the only Muslim village in America? And why did the people of the village leave? Why did it fail? Along with my friend Yahya, we met Brother Rafat, Dar al-Islam executive director, who told us things about this place we couldn't believe.
It's the largest adobe building in North America, 30,000 square foot. Dar al-Islam has probably one of the largest endowments of any Muslim organization in North America.
The most shocking thing I saw, that your voice can travel across the walls.
Hello. Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Even a whisper is heard from corner to corner.
So here, the voice travels through the dome to the other side. And then we whisper here, and he can hear very clearly. Yeah.
And you could hear him?
We can hear.
And in the masjid, worshippers can disappear and vanish from your sight.
So you can be sitting in a corner there and reading the Quran, then nobody can see you.
This is also the story of how a former Zionist IDF soldier saw the injustice to Palestinians, read the Quran in 7 days in the jungle, and when he came back, he was a Muslim.
And he went and took the Quran and said that he wanted to finish it in 7 days. And he finished, and when he came down, he was a Muslim.
This is the story of how a group of former American and European hippies became practicing Muslims and built one of the richest Islamic communities in North America.
The doors were made by a Muslim convert from Holland. His name is Benjamin.
One of the many Dutch men and women who reverted to Islam in Holland and ended up in Dar al-Islam in 1982. Built all the doors and woodwork in its library.
You can see this is the door to the masjid. It has calligraphy on it. So it says Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim,
which translates to, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful.
On the other side, it's the mirror image of it. There are no two rooms and no two hallways that have the same design. Each one has its own unique design.
In the 1960s, peace, love, and rock and roll, a man named Nuruddin Durki, they write a book called Be Here Now, and this book explodes.
It sold millions and millions of copies.
Their lives changed forever.
With the sales of that book, they made a lot of money. They built a center called Intensive Study Center to study different religions. Then they thought about writing another book.
This time about peace between Christianity, Judaism, and Islam.
They went to Palestine.
None of them are Muslim, remember that.
And then one day he is sitting in a bus
when an old sheikh behind him asks through a translator, "Do you think there will be peace among the three religions?"
And he turns around and there's this old sheikh sitting there.
He invites them into his home.
And a few weeks later, all 20 of them converted to Islam.
They came to write about peace, but they couldn't ignore the injustice they witnessed against Palestinians.
So they abandoned the book, they came back.
Their lives forever changed. Back in New Mexico, super emotional new Muslims came. They wanted to turn everything into Islam.
To convince everybody else to change the Intensive Study Center to Islamic Study Center.
What do you think happens next? Pure chaos. They start fighting. The conflict gets so bad that they basically pay Durki to leave.
And because he was one of the founders of Lama Foundation, they couldn't just kick him out. They suggested to him that, look, you're a new Muslim and you need to learn about your religion and you want to learn about your religion. So we'll give you a 3-year stipend scholarship to go to Mecca to learn about your religion.
But here enters our second character.
He grew up in a Zionist family and thought that everybody's equal, and then suddenly he recognized that all of those equality and justice, etc., was only for the Jews and did not mean anything for the Christians and Muslims among the Palestinians.
His entire worldview shattered. He quit the Israeli military, traveled the world, and ended up in New Mexico.
Lama Foundation had these areas where you could be completely secluded. You'd be up in the hill, in the forest.
This former IDF soldier goes into complete isolation with just the Quran, planning to read it it in 7 days. And when he comes down from that mountain, he's a Muslim.
Nuruddin Durki appointed him
Yeah.
to be responsible for the Islamic Service
Yeah.
Center.
Meanwhile, Durki in Makkah meets a Saudi businessman.
Sahel Kabani, they discussed the possibility of establishing a community in America only for Muslims.
His wife, Noura, befriends the daughter of King Khalid of Saudi Arabia, and suddenly they get royal Saudi funding for their American Muslim community.
And then they found this piece of land.
They find this land in New Mexico, initially 1,500, but slowly expanded to 8,600 acres.
And when he drove up to the mesa, he said, this is where we need to put the mosque.
They start building Dar al-Islam.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
What if I told you that one of Egypt's most legendary architects built his final masterpiece in the middle of the New Mexico desert for free? Meet Dr. Hassan Fathi.
So Yahya, this whole building was designed by Dr. Hassan Fathi, who was a very world-famous Egyptian architect. Dar al-Islam is one of his last projects that he did, and the only project in the northern as well as the western hemisphere.
The world-famous Egyptian architect, author of the Architecture for the Poor. His philosophy: if you have dirt and muscle power, you can build anything. No concrete, no steel, no money.
And the way to do that was to build domes and vaults. So you can see here, there's a dome. The dome construction, these are mud bricks that are piled up like that. And then the vault, this is a vault. A vault is a elongated dome. So this is a long dome. In 1979, he was approached and asked to design this building.
His first reaction: this could be a disaster.
Initially, he was hesitant because he thought, I haven't built anything in this area. I don't know the weather conditions, so it might not work out very well.
But somehow they convinced him, and he does it completely for free. Hassan Fathi chooses a Nubian design,
So Nubia is a region south of Egypt, north of Sudan.
a historical kingdom with pyramids. But here's what's genius about it.
It's all adobe. If you look at the hallways, this hallway is very unique in its shape, right? And now you turn around and you look at this hallway, and it has a completely different design and a completely different feel to it.
While Persian and Turkish masajid reach for the sky with massive domes, the Nubian architecture stays low, intimate, and personal.
A lot of these private spaces,
You want to read the Quran in private? You'll be sitting in the masjid, but nobody will be able to see you.
these intimate spaces that it creates.
You want natural air conditioner? Air flows through special ventilation systems.
But in Africa, there would be no glass, so air would flow into the building, also through ventilation up there. So we have that also on the other side. And then even within the building, the air will be able to ventilate to other parts of the space.
But Fathi hides secrets everywhere. He called it the 7-8 design.
Because this is in Arabic the letter 7,
Oh, wow.
and this is the letter 8.
So how long did it take Hassan Fathi to build this whole thing?
New Mexican builders knew adobe.
There are lots of adobe houses, but what they didn't know was how to build with walls and domes and so on. When all the walls were standing, but there was no roof.
Finally, the Egyptian masters arrived in 1980. They stayed just a few weeks, built the main dome, trained the locals, and then disappeared. The locals finished the rest in just 2 years.
So this was a mosque, and then next to it was a school building. And at the peak of it, it had about 150 students from kindergarten all the way to 10th grade. This is a sign that says it was built in 1981.
Madrasa al-Islamiyya.
So here is the entrance to the madrasa, and it says here, Rabb Zidni Ilma. Allah, increase me in knowledge.
Ameen. Just like that, hope is still alive in Gaza's children too, even after being displaced and losing their schools. For them, education is more than lessons. It's safety, stability, and the promise of a brighter future. HDF's Seeds of Hope is giving 120 displaced children a chance to learn again. These children now have safe classrooms, books in their hands, and support around them. You can be part of this change. Supporting this program helps a student return to class, regain stability, and dream again. Sponsor a child's education today at this link in the description. The library,
Which is really a beautiful building. We have some very unique books in there for all ages, in German, in English, in French, even in Latin, in Italian. So this is a beautiful, beautiful library. Here are the German books and the French books.
the library has layers upon layers of arches.
So when you stand here, you're able to see the magnificence of the architecture. And then when you stand here, and now if you can take that image, you'll see all the different arches.
1, 2, 3, 4 levels all in one view. In those interior courtyards, you can literally sit under apple and plum trees,
Wow.
So, yeah.
which are still bearing fruit today.
You can see here, you can sit under an apple tree, plum tree, and then do some reading, drink a teapot, a cup of tea.
In the middle of the tree, I came here and I ate a plum.
Oh, there you
Yeah.
go.
This place isn't just a museum.
You know, this place is incredibly comfortable and beautiful, and the atmosphere it offers because of the surrounded walls, the interior courtyard is very quiet, very peaceful, but still you have the outdoor conditions. So we had the Rumi Center, for example. There were about 50 people that in the beginning of July did their retreat, and they were doing a lot of their sessions right here. So the scholars were sitting there. They had carpets here, little pillows that people were sitting on, and they were just enjoying this space. Historically, Sheikh Hamza Yusuf and others like Sheikh Hakim Murad, they were here many times in the 1990s when they were very young, and they were holding their lectures right here. So they would be standing right here and giving the lecture. And of course, you have these apple trees and then the plum trees, and these are planted inside the courtyard.
Still giving fruit.
Yes, of course, you can see, you know, the red apples on the apple tree.
The apples are right there.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go into the masjid, inshallah.
Inshallah.
And see what's going on in the masjid. because it's a
Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim.
beautiful, beautiful building.
This is the moment we've been waiting for. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
You know, when we come in, we have the wudu area for washing up, which is in itself a very beautiful design. There's also a wudu area for the women. And then, of course, we take off our shoes and we put them in the rack here. So we go. And then we go into the actual masjid.
But what started off as a beautiful utopia for Muslims in America, community life, people living together, and completely fellow Muslims who love Allah and the earth, suddenly disappeared.
We have sold most of that land in the 1990s and 2000s, and now we are left with about 1,400 acres of land. ABQN, which was built by Dar al-Islam,
Really?
and which was operated by Dar al-Islam until 2017,
Subhanallah.
and that is probably worth now about $20 million. So I think if you took all of the land that we owned at that time and took today's numbers, we probably is in excess of $50-60 million.
Allah. What happened? Why did Dar al-Islam, the Muslim village, fail?
In the 1980s, the political direction in Saudi Arabia changed very significantly.
Remember that Saudi royal funding? And suddenly the political winds in Saudi Arabia shifted. The funding was gone.
And there were some conflicts in terms of this facility and funding for the school. And when the funding for the school stopped, the result was that they couldn't maintain the school.
And you had 40 families who moved to the middle of nowhere, betting their entire lives on the Islamic utopia, their jobs, teaching at school, building the community, maintaining the land, their income completely dependent on the Saudi money.
But then the community had not yet reached a level where they could be self-sustaining. So now they had a lot of land, but no money.
And then the great exodus. What happened next is heartbreaking. Families started leaving one by one, from 40 families.
And now about 7 or 8 families were able to stay on and do other things using their skill set, such as the Benyamins and the Fanhatums and others. But most of the families, they could not sustain themselves economically, so they moved away.
But here's the most shocking part. Nuruddin Durki, the guy who started the whole thing, the man who reverted to Islam on a bus in Palestine, and the mastermind behind Dar al-Islam, he left too. The founder had left his own paradise.
He went to Egypt to live there for some time.
But wait, this is where it gets interesting.
Then a new board came into being.
A new board takes over, and they make a brilliant decision. Instead of trying to rebuild the impossible dream of a self-sustaining Muslim village, they pivot. What if instead of serving 40 families, we serve the entire Muslim American community?
But then in the 1990s, when they started selling it, they took the money that came from the proceeds and put it in an endowment. And now, alhamdulillah, Dar al-Islam has probably one of the largest endowments of any Muslim organization in North America.
They turned Dar al-Islam into a spiritual retreat center. Muslims from across the country start coming for weekends, summer programs, and Islamic education. It's no longer about living there. It's about visiting, learning, and going back renewed. Now, they have a 3-part strategy. Make it operational year-round, get full-time staff living on site, and create indigenous programs every single month.
Muslim community as a whole was the goal, to bring them here and to provide them a space where they could come and rejuvenate themselves spiritually and learn new skill sets and new knowledge about Islam. So as a result, I was brought on board as executive director.
And they figured out the secret sauce. You don't need 40 families living there permanently. We just need thousands of Muslims visiting throughout the year, each taking a piece of that spiritual energy back to their own communities. Darul Islam died twice and was reborn 3 times. From hippie commune to Saudi-funded utopia to abandoned ghost town to retreat center to whatever comes next.
Okay, Yahya, it's wonderful to have this tour with you.
Thank you for sharing their knowledge with us.
Yeah, no, you're
was great.
wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, this place is for you. When you grow up, when you become, finish college, and even before that and after that, then when you get married and you have children, you can bring your children here. And just like your family, your father and your friends came here before you, they will come after you also, inshallah. This place, inshallah, is going to be here for decades to come for all of the Muslims, inshallah, in North America. Okay?
Inshallah.
Have a beautiful, beautiful life. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You too.
You're a wonderful person. Yeah, inshallah.
Until we see you next year.
Yes, inshallah, we'll do that.
We look forward to seeing you very soon at America's beautiful Muslim village, where every sunset reminds you that the most impossible dreams do come true. Until next time, keep exploring the extraordinary.